Okay, so there were some technical difficulties. Like I couldn't figure out how to actually start the stream, but I've started it now. So I'm just listening in to check the audio levels. Seems okay, so I'm going to take those out. I'm Wayne. This is my very first live stream, so bear with me. It's going to be very unprofessional and creaky, I'm sure. I did a Twitter poll. I got a 100% response, a unanimous response that I should do this. Although I should tell you that I only got like 5 responses, so that's not exactly overwhelming. Anyway, so today I'm going to wire up a front panel, and this is. Let me just check to see if this is gonna. Where are we? Oh, there's a massive delay on the video, so I want to go down. So this is the front panel I'll be wiring up, and it's for an analog synthesizer that I designed. Here's the back of it. I'm not sure I'm going to be able to do the whole thing today in one stream because that's just going to be too much work, but we'll see how we get on. If I turn this around, I have the luxury of having done this once before, so this is what we'll be aiming for, and this is what this is what I'm starting with. So there's a lot of wire. This is why I say it's probably not going to get the whole thing done today, but we'll give it a go. So the other thing I wanted to do was do a bit of lacing here. So this is kind of pretty old school stuff. You don't see this very often these days, but it's a nice way of tidying cables and making it look neat. These zip ties on here, by the way, these are going to go eventually. They're just to hold the things together until eventually I want to lace the whole lot together. And then this is the actual analog synthesizer at the back here. These little modules are modules within the synthesizer. So this is the main VCO. That's the voltage controlled oscillator at the back here. There's 2 ADSRs, which is ADSR stands for attack, decay, sustain, release. These are envelope generators. This is a voltage controlled filter, and then this is a voltage controlled amplifier. And as you can see, there's some empty sockets here. So this is like one voice, if you like, of a synthesizer, and that's what this thing is here on the left. And I'm going to make the second voice, and I'm going to wire up the front panel for that. Now, I've already made all these Molex connectors here. I'm just checking that you can see. So I've already made these Molex connectors, but I do have one left. There's one here. So I have, because I thought that might be interesting for people to see, I have a Molex connector there, some of the little pins that go in there, and then the wires. And I'm a cheapskate, so or at least sometimes. There is a special tool you can buy that, because these are crimp connectors. Let me get one out, and then I'll see if I can show you up close what they actually do. Let's see if this is going to work. So if I get, how many am I going to need? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, I think. Get. Should have made the hole bigger. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Right. Okay, let's see if the camera will focus on this. I did have an experiment. So I think eventually, well, where's the, see if I can persuade the camera to focus on this. Nope, quite. Oh, I know. Hang on. And you know you can do it. There we go. Okay, so the bit I'm holding on to is the bit that actually makes a contact inside the connector, and then the two little these little ear things here are what grip the cable. The two closest to the contact point usually make contact with the conductor of the wire, and then these two at the back just hold the wire. They act as strain relief. And what's supposed to happen is you get hang on a second, I've just lost my right. You get the piece of what the wire sits in there, and then there's a very expensive tool you can buy which basically squishes those ears down onto the wire. It pierces the insulation, makes a connection, and then also grips the cable. So it's like one squish and you're done, and it does everything, which is great if you're making hundreds of these or thousands of these. I'm not. I can't. You know, it's a great big honking expensive tool. So I'm just going to do it the kind of do it without using any expensive tools, and I'll show you how I do that in a second. So I suppose I should turn my soldering iron on, otherwise. So I'm going to solder these, which is unconventional, but it does. I have had bad experiences with crimp connectors. For example, I'll give an example of that kind of a connector. So let me see. Here's a standard kind of crocodile clip, and let me see if this one is being converted. Right. So this has a similar style of crimp connector inside, but these have been. I usually solder these when I buy some of these crocodile clips. I usually take them apart and I solder that wire, because if you've got something, particularly something like a crocodile clip that's used a lot, those crimp connectors are just, I found them not to be reliable. Let's put it that way. Right, so let's get this show on the road. I'm just going to put this front panel out of the way so I've got a bit more room. And let's see if I can arrange this so that you can see what I'm seeing. Let's see if this works. Where are we? There's a massive delay on the video I'm using as a means of seeing what I'm doing, or seeing what you can see. So let me see. I wonder if I can move this around. No. Okay. I'll just have to wing it. Right. There we go. Is that gonna? It's also backwards. So yeah, I want to come a bit closer to me. Right. Okay. Let's put that way around. I usually use like this is just a piece of cardboard, just to protect the countertop. You can get these fancy electrically conductive, self-healing worktop things, but you don't need that. And I'm having trouble focusing. Come on. Sign focus. Yeah, there we go. Okay. So this is where the fun starts. So one other thing that I do, there's another tool you can buy for stripping wire. You can, because you'll need to strip this because I'm going to solder it rather than crimp it. You can get these fancy tools. What I tend to do, which took a while for me to, because you have to kind of dial in how much you press, and I'm probably going to mess this up because I'm doing this live. But if you just use a pair of pliers to grip the wire, and then use a pair of diagonal cutters, it's important that you put the diagonal cutters, if I close this, if you like, the flat side away, in the direction you're going to be cutting or pulling the insulation off, not the other way around. See, on this side it's kind of dished in, and the reason for that is the way the blades are cut. If you don't do it that way around, you tend to just kind of smush the insulation. It doesn't come off cleanly. So let's see if I can do this first time. So you just want to hold that tight so it grips the insulation. There we go, it worked. Right. So, and then you're pulling off. Let's see if you can see that. You're pulling off the insulation from the end of the wire, exposing the conductors, and then I usually just give it a bit of a twist like that, just to tidy it up so they don't spread out and go everywhere, because then that makes it really difficult to get into where you're going to go, or it just makes things awkward. Right. So oh, and yeah, I'll put the silly glasses on. I've got a pair of these because my eyes are old and tired, and I can't focus on things close up anymore. So I wear these to do any close stuff. Right. So what we do is, is this still in the middle? I'm going to go to my left slightly. Right. Put that in there, and then we take our soldering iron, and if you hold it on there, let's see if you can see that. Yep. And then stick the solder in there, give it a second, and then you'll find that that's made a nice joint in there. I'll see if I can hold it up to the camera a bit closer. Is that focusing? Do I get? No, I need to go down a bit. Hang on, because you can't see. Sorry, there's a really long delay on the video. Nope. Hang on. There we go. I think that's done it. Nope, it's still not happy. Right. So you should be able to see in there that the end of the wire is soldered into the place where it would normally be crimped. And then the last thing to do is to then bend over the little ears on the end. This is kind of awkward to do when I'm trying to hold it so that you can see but I'm trying to see what I'm doing as well. Right, so there we go. That should be on now. Let's see if that comes up on the screen okay. Nope. Okay, note to self in future. I need a different means of monitoring stuff because the delay is just too big. So anyway, there we go. So that's the first one done. Only 6 more to do. So I'm just going to put that to one side. I'm going to crack on and do the others, probably without much of the running commentary because I do want to get good progress. And then once I've done those, I'll show you how we put them into the connector. So right. So I'm not really not seeing anything at the moment. Hang on, let me zoom out a bit, and you can kind of see. And do we have any viewers yet? No viewers yet. So who knows? Maybe somebody will watch the replay. That's about right. Is that good? That's not very good, actually. It's a little bit dry. Dry joints. When you don't get the solder wicking on the whatever it is you're soldering, you want a nice shiny joint. If it looks kind of like the wire's not completely covered in solder and it's not shiny, can be indicative of a dry joint. Dry joints are where you have because it's not wetted. I don't know where that terminology comes from. I guess it's the same principle as wetting with with water and detergent and stuff like that. It's talking about surface tension, except you're talking about metal against metal. When the solder doesn't wet the work, then you get a reasonably good mechanical joint. So it looks okay, but it's not a very good electrical joint. So, and that's the worry, right? You look at it and you go, oh yeah, that's okay. That's a good joint. It's mechanical. It's holding it. But unless you see that solder wetting around the wire and also the thing that you're soldering to, then you won't have a good electrical connection. Three. I think the right. This method, by the way, of using the diagonal cutters and the pliers to strip the insulation off instead of a fancy tool. It does take a little bit of time to get it right, because you have to kind of calibrate how hard you can press, because if you press too hard, you just basically cut the just snip a bit off the end of the wire. If you don't press hard enough, you don't pull the insulation off, and then it just kind of, it can shred the insulation, which is annoying. And it depends a lot on the cable, on the wire as well. You may be wondering what I'm doing with my finger there. Of course, it's just after you've soldered it, the joint is really, really hot. This is probably not recommended. I usually just stick my finger in my mouth to make it slightly, not wet, slightly moist, and then just dab my finger on the end to cool the joint, which just speeds things up. This solder, I should say, is it's a tin copper mix. Mostly, it's almost 100% tin. So it's lead free. I would not recommend, although I used to do it, which may explain a few things, but you know, back in the day when you had 60-40 solder, that was a good way of cooling things down quickly. It was licking your fingers and hitting the joint. Of course, these days we're much more aware of the health hazards of lead. So it's not so bad for you now, although it's still probably not recommended. But I'm kind of old school like that. So I just want to put that little caveat in there. Sometimes it's always, I usually have, well, not usually, but I sometimes put music on. I did wonder whether I should have a soundtrack going on while I'm doing this, but didn't know whether that would be, people wouldn't be able to. I thought getting the audio right would be problematic, so I didn't. Yeah, no, actually that one's being a little bit old. Oh, there we go. Also, after doing electronics for for a few years, I think you end up with asbestos fingers. I've burnt myself with a soldering iron so many times. I mean, not so much these days, but when I was a kid doing this, I mean, it's kind of fascinating the kind of different levels of burning you get with them. I'm really going off on a tangent here, but the different levels of burning you get with a soldering iron, from the quick touch and you go ow and nothing bad happens, to the kind of vaporizing your skin. Which, funnily enough, it hurts a lot, but at the time, but I guess because it's probably killing off all the nerve endings, which is probably why I've got asbestos fingers now. No. I mean, yes, this is fiddly, but it does the job. And I'd like to think forms a better joint than crimp connectors, but I'm sure somebody will comment that actually no, that's rubbish. The crimp connectors are just as good as solder, because they're, I guess at a microscopic level, if the crimp is pushing the connector into the wires, you might get a bit of micro cold welding or something going on between the connector and the on the wire. Right, okay, so those are all those done. Now I need to, let's have a look. So I start with, I put these in this connector. I've got to get it, make sure I get it the right way around. Sorry, I'm just looking at the one I've got in there, and I just, okay, so the ears go that way. It has little, I mean, it's a very standard connector. You see it all over the place. It has little keying ears here. Hopefully you can see those. Yeah, there we go. So that's going that way around, and then I want to put, so starts with black. I've done these in the, all these colors are the kind of standard resistor code colors. So if you're, actually, do I have a resistor? Do I have a resistor knocking around? Here we go. Right, so here's a resistor. So we're going to have a slight digression on how to read resistors here. This is a very, very old carbon resistor. And you'll see it's got 4 bands. The one on the end, this silvery one, that tells you how accurate it is. Silver is 10%. Gold is 5%. You read it from the opposite end. So I've got this the right way. Actually, probably for you, it's probably better this way around. So you can see this is brown, black, yellow. So the color coding starts at black, which is 0, and then brown, which is 1, and then it follows the colors of the rainbow. So red, orange, yellow, green, blue, purple, and you know that's so. Red is 2, orange is 3, yellow is 4, etc. 5, 6, 7. And then you've got grey and white at the end for 8 and 9. So the way you read this is the first 2 bands tell you what the digits are. So that would be brown for 1, black for 0, so that's a 1 0, and then yellow for 4, and that means you'd follow those with 4 zeros. So 1 0 and then another 4 zeros is 1 with 5 0, which is 100,000. So this is a 100,000 ohm resistor, or 100 kilo ohms. And I've got another one in there. Yes, but that's really, what is this? This is, okay, this is red, red, red. It doesn't really matter which way around you read this one. This got a gold band. I mean, it's really hard to see that. Let's see if we can zoom in. No, come on. There we go. Where are we? Zoom right in. Come on. Here. Focus here. No. It's not happy. How about? Oh, there we go. I think that's, is that in focus? I think it's focused on the wires behind. Anyway. So yeah, red, red, red would be 2, 2 with 2 zeros. That's 2200, which is 2,200 ohms or 2.2K. Anyway, that's how you read resistors. And then, so starting, I conveniently put these in that order on this connector, just so it's kind of easy to remember. And the way you put these in is there's a little slot here. You see that little slot there? Okay, so that little slot, and that engages with a little, this is going to be very hard to see, I'm sure, but there's a little teeny bump, or like a, what would you call that? It's like a little toothy thing. there on the end of the connector, and that engages in that little slot when you push it in, and it kind of snaps it into place. So you want to put the pin in, so the springy bit, let's see if that's, yeah, the springy bit, which is kind of hanging down, you can see it hanging down there, that goes in away from that little slot, and then the little bump thing engages within that slot, and then you can't pull it out. I mean, you can, once you push it in and it goes click, you can get it out again if you stick a screwdriver into that slot and then push the little pin down, and then you can get them out. But it's designed to keep the thing in there. So all you do is you literally just push it in there. And I wonder if I can show you it going into this slot. Let's see if this camera is going to be kind to me now. I don't think so. Anyway, I don't know when you heard that click. There we go. That's in now, so that won't come out. And so we just got to do that with all the others. So we've got brown, red, orange, yellow. This particular wire I've used for the yellow, green and blue is a little softer, so it's not going to allow me to push it. So I'm just going to push it down with the end of a small screwdriver. Green. Yeah, and then last but not least, blue. This particular one, I only needed 7 wires, not 8. So there's an empty slot there. So that's that done. And now I'm going to put it into here. Hopefully you can see that, and then that's. Oop. Come on, there we go. That's all the way down. Yeah, good. Right. One thing I forgot to do, I should have done before I put that in there, was prepare the wires a bit. So the way zip ties in the way. Hang on, let's see if I can get this. So you see how this other one, the wires are kind of flat. I forgot to bend these over because I was going to bend these over in preparation. All right, there we go. Trying to make them all kind of neatish. Need to go down a bit, I think. Yeah. Right, so this is where the fun starts. Right. So what's going to happen is this is going to come down here, turn through 90 degrees, and then go along here over to the front panel. So I'm going to start lacing this up. Actually, you know what? I'm going to get that out of the way. And then, there we go. No, stay down there. Right. And hopefully we can see it better. Let's see if we can get a bit more light in there. Right. So, a lace cord. I was amazed. I'm just making a lot of noise. I was amazed you can actually still get this stuff, because I thought it'd gone the way of the dinosaurs. This is what this is. Actually, if I just move you out of the way for a minute, so kind of see what's going on. Yeah, so this is waxed lacing cord. It's quite sticky, which is kind of the point. And it comes on a spool, and what you do is you basically make loops and knots and stuff. And because it's got wax in it, it makes it fairly stiff. It stiffens up the cord. Also means that the cord sticks to itself, so tends not to come undone. Yeah, and that just basically it's just used to hold all the cabling in place. So what you should do is figure out kind of the length of the cable that you're going to do, and then you want some cord which is maybe, to be on the safe side, at least 1 times the length of the cable that you're lacing. So let me see, focus to there. So 1.5 times. The reason you want 1.5, because you've got to account for all the loops, the knots at the start and at the end, and stuff like that. I tend to be safe side and go almost kind of nearly twice, because I'd rather, it's much, the worst thing in the world is you get sort of 3/4 of the way through the lacing, and then you find out that you haven't got enough cord. You can just kind of stop halfway along and then restart it. I mean, that's entirely possible. It's just nicer if it's all in one go. Right, so the way we do this, is it better to do this? Sorry, I'm just thinking about how visible this is going to be. I'll give it a go. So you need a knot to start off with, and you want something that's not going to come undone. And I use a knot called, my hand's going to be in the right, I don't want to block the view. I used a, oh my goodness, name's just gone out of my head. Clove hitch. There we go, got there in the end. And a clove hitch, which is a great knot, because the harder you pull on it, the tighter it gets, so it doesn't come undone. So although in this instance, with it being at the end, it is kind of possible for it for tension to be lost, but we'll get to that in a second. So you want to go over the top, underneath, and then you go over like this, and then round again. And I'll show you this in a second when right. So you've got you can't see what I'm doing. Hang on a second. Sorry, I wasn't pointing the right way. Okay, so this bit is coming from the great long piece of cord I've got, going over, around. This goes over the top, round again, and then this piece you want to go back under the loop, and then what you should have is something that looks, let me see, that view might be better. There we go. Something that kind of looks like a figure 80 thing, but with the two pieces in the middle, this one and this one, going parallel to each other, and then it's just a matter of pulling that tight, and it should. There we go. That should be nice and tight. Now, just to make sure, you can then do a couple of overhand knots just for some added security. Yeah. Trying to do this at arm's length. Yeah, and you're not seeing anything, are you? There we go. That one. Okay. Well, it's actually not a bad view. Right. Okay, so that should now be ready to go. So it will, if you pull on it really hard, it will slide along the cable. So in fact, I'm probably going to demonstrate that. No, it's not going to move. Good. What you can do is when you're starting off, if you can, cord's getting all caught up on the front panel. This loose end, what you can do is you can actually tie that off to something. If you've got something to tie it to, I don't have anything here. But then that just, it's something for you to pull against when you're lacing, and then you can just, once you finish, you can just snip that off. So the next thing to do is there are many different, well, there are lots of different ways of doing this. I think the consensus and a lot of the way I do it, and the easiest way to do it, is literally you just come around. So come around the back, and then just go through that loop there, and it literally just forms a loop, like a knot like that. So it's not a, this particular one is not a locking knot, so it's not going to. So I'll do that again. You go around. Which way did I go? Round the back. Because you can go over the top and through, or underneath and over the. It's like. And then there's ways you can make locking loops as well. By you kind of wrap around once, so it kind of goes back over the top of itself. But in my experience of doing this, it's because I've been kind of learning myself, to be honest. It's not really, this is what I've done in all of this stuff. I think if you were, in an aerospace environment, or where you want to have a bit kind of do it a bit more securely, then you need to do one of the locking hitches. But just a simple kind of overhandy thing seems to work pretty well. Right, so we're going to make a nice 90-degree turn here. Now, what you want to do is, when you make a 90-degree turn, is you want to put one of the stitches. See, this is what happens. You see, as soon as you take the tension off, that knot will start to come undone. So it's kind of just got to make sure you keep the tension on. Whereas if you had a locking hitch, which I think, let me see if I can remember how to do this. Yeah. No, it involves, I'd have to go and refresh my memory, but it involves going back around and then looping it. Well, let's see. Have I done this? So you would go, yeah. So you go back through this way, right? And then what that does is when you tighten it up, he says, hopefully, it will then. The only problem with doing one of those, so just remembered why I don't normally do it. When you start to tighten it up, because it wants to, because it's a locking knot, it tends to want to lock before you've actually got the straight bit between the knots tightened up. So one important thing to know is when you're doing a 90-degree thing, put the this bit of cord that goes between the knots, if you put it on the inside of the 90 degrees, it helps keep that nice and tight and straight and 90 degrees. Because if you put it on the outside, it's effectively, it'll want to ride around the bundle to the inside anyway, and you run the risk of it going loose and not keeping that 90 degrees if you put it on the outside. Whereas if you put it on the inside, then it should work. Right. I'm just gonna. And the other thing is near 90 degrees. If you make more, you put in more knots, it will just help kind of keep that 90-degree thing going. Right, there we go. Okay. So now I can go a little bit faster and spread out the knots a little bit further. Every now and again, just kind of go back and straighten things up, retension the cord, just to kind of make sure everything's going according to plan. Okay. So at this point, I'm wondering whether I put in a wire in here. I think I did, because this has got to go all the way to the end of the top of the front panel. So I think I'll be fine. Right, so at this point, I think I'm going to have to get the other front panel in. Let me see. Put you over there. Maybe a bit more that way. And yeah, Right. Where did I put the front panel? And the nice thing is, having done one of these before, I've got a nice reference as to where all the wires go. As when I did this, there was quite a lot of tracing of colours and figuring out exactly which colour went where. I'll put my silly glasses back on. Right, so I wonder if it's a better view. Yeah, I think so. Right. So I want that to go to there. Where do I want my 90 degree to go? So this one, I just have to look. So this is the front, which is the input to the VCO, and they need to go to this side of, which one has to go all the way to the top? The yellow one. Oh, that's going to be close. It's going to be close. Okay, I think I'm going to cheat slightly. And I'm going to move that along there. Let's see. Is that going to reach? That is going to be squeaky clean, squeaky close, right? Yeah, should have really measured that slightly more accurately, but I think that's going to be okay. So that's got to go. These wires have to go all the way, particularly the yellow one, has to go all the way to the front of the, or the top of the panel. So I need to put my right angle about here. So where are we? If we go, continue lacing. Oh, yeah, you see what looks what happened. I don't know if you can see that, but that's come on, that's loop there has come loose, which is what I was talking about, using this style of lacing hitch. It's because it's just basically it's an overhand knot. Not particularly the most reliable. You just got to be aware of it and make sure that you kind of go back and retension things. Because it will sort itself out. And you see, I mean, all these other ones that I've done already, as long as there's kind of tension on the cord, they're fine. It's when you lose a bit of tension, then it's that's when the issues come in. Right. Okay. So I'm kind of losing track of things here. So, well, I need to kind of stop because actually, you know what? I'm actually going to put in one of these. Somebody remember how to do this. We're just going to kind of make this up as I go along here for the time being, because I just need this to stay put whilst I do this next little step. Come on. Yeah, on. There we go. Right. Hopefully that will stop that from coming unravel while I do this next bit. So Where's the first? So we've got this cable coming down here, and it's going to go in between here. Can you see that on the screen? Oh, I need to push you down a little bit. Hang on a second. And how's that? Is that better? Yeah, there we go. Right. Come down, and then as I do so, the wires are going to peel off. And looking at this, we've got red, brown, black, orange, green, yellow. Yeah. Okay. So the green, that yellow one might be a little bit of an issue. Well, see when we get there. We'll see when we get there. So the first one that's going to peel off, as it were, is the red wire, which goes to here. So I can continue lacing until I get to about here, and then I'm going to peel that red wire out from the bundle. Okay. Yeah, a lot of this is just kind of you make the knot, and then you move along, and you make the knot, you move along, and then you just got to kind of be aware of what's going on there about kind of where you're up to. The nice thing is you can always kind of backtrack and undo a bit if we'll put in another knot. Right, I think we're almost there. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to take the red wire out. So see if we can see that on the screen. Okay, a bit lower down. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to take the red wire out. So come out of the bundle, and then I'm going to continue on lacing. Now I want actually just I think one more. Let's have a think about this. No, I think that's good. So you want to basically you put a knot where the wire comes out, and then you continue on lacing as you were. With the wire, that red wire, out of the bundle now. And what's the next? The next one is going to be brown and black and blue. Okay, so yeah, we've got 3 wires coming out of there now. So that's the red one, but the brown, let me see, where are they going? Brown and black are going there. Blue is going. It's going over there. So yeah, we've got maybe another couple of short knots to put in before I bring those out. I think what I'm going to do, given that nobody's here, and it is now 5:15, so I've been doing this an hour now. I'm going to connect this up, so I'll get one done. So the majority of the content which I wanted to get done, which was basically how to make one of those Molex connectors, how to lace, and then how to and then just the action of wiring up the wires. That'll all be done, and then it'll be my dinner time. So I'm going to stop at that point. In fact, I wonder if I should go and maybe I should go and stick the oven on now. Trouble is, if I stick the oven on, I don't want to do that because I don't want my dinner becoming ready. Because yes, I'm not going to cook tonight. I'm having a ready meal. Shame on me. Okay. Yellow coil. Okay. Right. So at this point, you got to make some kind of. This is where you've got to kind of go. Oh, I'm going to cut the wire. I'm going to cut the wire. So this red wire is going to go to the central, the wiper of this variable resistor here, and let's make that a bit neater. So you can do that by just kind of, you get your long nose pliers and bend the wire, and you want it fairly neat looking. Right, so that's you want it so that sits there. We go. Okay, so and then this is the moment of truth, right? So because I'm going to cut this wire, so you get to the point where, and you want to cut it because you're going to take some insulation off, so you need to leave enough room on the end of the wire so that you can strip the end. This is where you pray that, there we go, that method works. There we go. Solder. Okay, so a note about soldering. I have to admit, being an old school 60/40 solderer, it was so much easier. Oh my goodness. 60/40 solder has a much lower melting point than lead-free. Also, the lead-free stuff doesn't seem to wet. Remember the comments about wetting earlier? It doesn't as well. Having said that, this stuff, which is 99.3 10.7 copper, does actually seem to, and I don't know if people might recognize the Maplin logo that's on there. This is from the now, well, they don't have any stores, the Maplin shop. I'm almost out of it, actually. I did buy some new stuff. I bought some ridiculously expensive lead-free solder, which had silver in it. I mean, not much silver. It was like 1% or something, maybe less. That was a nightmare. I will never buy that stuff again. So yeah, don't buy the silver lead-free. Just the the stuff that's just almost all tin seems to work really well. Anyway, getting back to the kind of the way I like to solder was that you put the heat on the piece, so you don't do this, right? You don't. Can you see this? I'm just going to check the feed. I'm too high up. You don't do this. You don't put the solder on the bit, right? This is not how you solder. You don't put the solder on the bit and then go and solder the thing. That's no, you don't do that. That's how you make dry joints. The way you do it, I'll just check this. You can see a wire, right? Yeah. You heat the piece up, and then you apply the solder to the piece. Now the thing is, because lead-free has such a high melting point compared to leaded solder, it's very difficult to actually do that in practice, because you'll be sitting there for a month of Sundays waiting for the piece to heat up. Meanwhile, all your components are getting too hot. The insulation on the wire is dripping off the wire. So you have to compromise a little bit, and I usually I do touch the solder on the iron just to get it flowing, and then then everything works. Also, the other thing that helps is if you wet the thing you're soldering to in the first place, and then they're both the wire is wetted and the thing you're soldering to is wetted, so that when you solder them, they just go like this. Now, you probably heard there was a ping then, and I think I might just investigate that, because I did send a text to somebody saying, hey, do you want to watch my live stream? And they've not come on, but they've texted me. I assume that's them. Which says to me that either they're saying, sorry, we can't see your stream, or we're busy. So if you'll just allow me, I'm going to keep you pointed at the... Let's see if I can do this. Because I'm using my cell phone as a camera. Okay, how do I do this? I'm hoping this is not going to kill the feed. Is it going to keep going? By the miracles of technology, it is good. Excellent. And no, it wasn't. Who is it then? So this is probably very unprofessional, checking my... Oh, it is. Okay, well, they haven't joined, so anyway, that's it. Sorry, that was... Let me just go back to normal service. Hopefully, there we go. Okay, cool. And I shall put you back on the tripod. Right, so I think, yeah, let me just show you there. So this is the join I just made. There we go. So join the red wire up to the wiper of that potentiometer, and then I've got the these other wires to go off to here and here. So I shall do that. Right, so what are we doing next? I think blue. Blue shall be the color. Blue is going to go over to... Okay, this is... Sure. Interesting. No, hang on a minute. Sorry, I'm just getting confused, because in my infinite wisdom, I chose the same color for a signal and also the -5 volts, which just happens to go to the same potentiometer. So I'm just checking. I was just checking that I wasn't going to wire up the -5 volts into the whatever the signal is. I can't remember. I could look it up, but I'm not going to. Yeah, just want to make absolutely sure this goes to the wiper and not the 5 volts. So there we go. And hopefully AC this. This is so up. I'm just going to turn you around a little bit. And I'm going to, yeah. So the other thing is, the other thing I've done a lot of in my time is melt the insulation accidentally on wires that I wasn't intending to solder at the time, because they do tend to get in the way when you've got a lot of wires to solder. It's very easy to just catch them with the soldering iron. Right. So that's got to go there. I'm going to attempt to put that underneath. So make it all neat and tidy. Tuck that underneath. Oh, it's not in focus. Why is that not in focus? Sorry about that. Is that better? Wow, how many seconds of delay is on this video? There we go. Right. Yeah, so yeah, it's a bit tricky. Oh. No wonder I couldn't tell which. Right, okay. Yeah, pro tip, don't hold the wire with your fingers if you try. Well, I do actually, but in a situation like this, you really don't want to get your fingers in there because they'll just get burnt badly. So use oh, hang on, pig's ear, this one. Right. And then the other thing is, you know, once it's soldered, you can, and it's a sound joint, you can just go in there and just neaten it up, either by just bending the wire or. There we go. Right. Okay. What was the other one? There was a brown and a. So brown goes here. This one. So I think I'm actually just going to do it sideways, which is not ideal, but. Almost picked the phone up thinking it was the soldering iron then. Can you see that? Let's see the 2, 3, 4. Wow, a 10-second delay. So I think while I'm here, I'll do the other one because the black wire is going to go to the other terminal on this connector, which is these are the back of the 1/4-inch jack sockets. Right. Oh, I got a comment. Oh, hello. I can't stay. Oh. Well, hello anyway, and thank you for popping in. I think they're still here. They popped in and left, which is fine. Right. I wasn't looking at the chat. Should have looked at the chat more. To be honest, I wasn't actually expecting anybody to turn up. So, right. Brown goes there. Black's going to go there. Again, I think this one's just going to put that straight in. Another little tip is, can you see what I'm doing here? Is when you're, particularly when you're wiring up a front panel like this, and if you've got a piece of wire, let me demonstrate. So if you've got a piece of wire and you just want to strip the end of it, you can just grab the piece of wire. I mean, you don't even need to use the pliers. It's just the pliers allow you a bit more control. But you can literally just grab hold of it and go like that, right? But the problem is when you do that, the hand holding the piece of wire, when that insulation lets go, the other hand's going to go flying off somewhere. So, which is a bad news if you're trying to do the front panel stuff, because when you do that, you'll end up yanking out whatever wire it is you're trying to wire up here. So, in order to not do that, when you grab hold of it with the pliers, if you just rest the pliers against something solid, then when you see, that one didn't work. When you pull the insulation off, this stays where it is and you don't yank the wire out. If I'd done that, if I'd kind of just held it in midair, I would have, well, it would not have been good. I would have run the risk of pulling out, pulling the entire loom all out of shape and bending it, and probably wouldn't have snapped anything, but it just all would have made a big mess. Right. Okay. So brown goes in here. Yeah. Let's do it again. See that? Brown. Yeah, more or less. Come on. Yeah, this is what I don't like about lead-free solder. I mean, I've got used to it now, but when I first started using lead-free solder, oh my goodness, what a pain. Definitely takes getting used to. Right. Okay, that's the black wire and the brown wire done, and just do that. Right. Okay, so 3 wires left out of this bundle. So I'm just going to tighten that up again. So what are we doing? We're doing orange goes off to the center tap of this next potentiometer. Green goes to, so in fact I want green to go off here because it's not going to have enough length to do what I did on the first panel. So that's going to go there. Orange goes to there, and then yellow. Hang on a minute, where's this? Oh, the red. Straight red wire from the other bundles. Right. Then this yellow one, this is the problematic one. Is that going to reach? That's, yeah, it's a bit squeaky. Okay, that'll reach. Do I want to put one more? You know what? I think I'm only going to put 2 more knots in, and then I'll end it. So, okay, 1 knot. I want to go. I need 1 more knot, and then I'll end it. Yeah. Okay. So to end, I'm going to put another clove hitch in here. So you go around. And then around again. Come on. Get this right. And then that's got to go underneath that loop. Okay, come on. All right. No, I don't want it to roll around with that. The other. There we go. Okay. I'm going to put another. Another couple of knots in here, just to make sure that doesn't come undone. The wax, when you're working with it, because your hands are warm, it's quite kind of soft, and it will. You can work it at room temperature. It does go a lot harder. Of course, if your equipment. Oh no! The other thing is, it's. I think it's got. I think it's got a solvent in it, which will evaporate, and it will stiffen up over time. I'm not 100% sure on that, but from like these cables, they just feel kind of drier and stiffer. The first ones that I did, so I think that's what's going on. Certainly, when you take it out, it is. I mean, I can feel. You will have, you'll have to clean your hands afterwards because they do get this kind of sticky coating of wax on your fingers. Right, so now that's done, I'm just going to leave that tail on there just for a little while until I've finished this, because I want to make sure that everything's okay. Yeah, this yellow one, I should have just made that yellow one just a little bit longer. But hey ho, it's long enough. And, oh, somebody else has come in. I'm not sure what that means, but and they've gone again, I think. green. Green is going over here. And where's orange going? Oh, orange is going to the central, the wiper of this pot potentiometer. Right. Okay, so yellow goes over there. And that's going to have to go. Is that going to go around? I don't like having tight wires on front panels. Not good. But I don't have a choice. I mean, I do have a choice. What I could do is I could splice a piece of wire onto the end, which I have actually done elsewhere on the first one that I made. I think I accidentally cut the wire too short, and then had to splice a piece on, but that doesn't look very nice. So let's see, what time is it? 5, and that's an hour and a half. Help me gauge, like if I do another one of these, if anybody is actually interested in watching anything, watching this stuff. It will give me an idea of how long it's going to take. Because I made the other one last year and I can't remember how long it took me. All right, go on, tuck you under there. Right, and then one last but not least. Oh, you're a little long, aren't you? Go on. That'll be right once that's once this is soldered in. That'll be okay. So that's going to go there. That's going to go there. I'm going to cut this one. Last but not least, right. So let's just do a little bit of a check here. I wonder if I could bring that. Maybe I should bring that over there. There we go. There we go. That's better. Bring that one over the top there. So, just to kind of recap, I'm just going to very slowly move you over here so you can see what's going on. Whoops. So I'm just waiting for my phone to wake up. Come on. Come on. I've got too much wax on my thumb. Oh, there we go. Right. So I'm going to slide this can do that. So here we go. This is the connector that we put in with the resistor code rainbow colors. There's the knot we started the lacing with. And if I, come on, zoom out. Now we follow that out. That's not a very good 90 degrees, but nah. The reason for that is because I had to pull it a little bit further along because that yellow wire was a bit short. And then along here, another 90 degrees. And then it's lying lovely and mostly flat against the metal paneling. And then we've peeled out the red wire to go to here, along a bit more. And brown and black and the blue over to here. And then along orange to the center of this one, green to here, and yellow to here. So these, it's kind of funny, these connectors actually, just as a digression. The thing that looks like it's, if I come this way, the thing that looks like it's on the center conductor is not actually the center conductor, that's the ground. The thing that's on the outside is actually the signal, which is the center tap. And that's because that's actually connected to this thing. This springy thing here is what contacts the tip of the connector when it's inserted. And then this is actually contacting the sleeve or the ground. These are not connected because they also connect to the chassis. When you insert these, there's a connection that goes, so basically this aluminium plate is ground. It's the whole thing is ground, which is nice because it acts as a nice ground reference for everything. Anyway, so this is our first wire, and so I know I had to make this connector, and I took my time explaining stuff and things, so it took me a little longer than it would normally have done, but that still took me an hour and a half, and I have all this to do. That's going to take a while. So and these ones in particular, the ADSRs, have a lot of wires each. So yeah, that may take more than another stream. I may leave it, do some more not streaming, and then stream the last little bit. If anybody's interested, I'll check on Twitter. Oh, last thing I should do is just can you see that is snip off the tail of the where's my snips? Snip off the tail of the lacing cord. You can leave a little bit dangling, kind of useful to grab if it needs retensioning at any point, and the other end as well. And then you can actually stick it down and you just kind of prod it with your finger and it will. Right. So that's that. Take the silly glasses off. So I'm going to go and have my dinner now. I know I've only had 2 people drop into the stream, one of whom I messaged saying I was on stream. So not a fantastic online success, but anyway, people will be able to watch the replay at their leisure. Yeah, that's the end of my first stream. I'm going to have to go. I can't do it from here, so I'm going to put my little sign up and turn off. So actually, yeah, I should. This says I'll be back soon, which is a bit silly because I won't be. I'm going to have my dinner now. But anyway, I hope it was interesting, even, or I don't know, maybe it was like watching grass grow. I don't know. Let me know in the comments and feedback at the bottom what you thought of it. Yeah, maybe I'll be online again soon. Who knows? Thank you for watching.